Oh, shucks. Okay, I have to do this video really quick because this is funnier than shit. So, I am horribly against. Horribly, I'm not sure that's the right word. I'm really, 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 really against cars that do too much for people. If you can't freaking drive and control your own damn windshield wipers and can control your own damn headlights, you don't need to be driving. I am a full believer. If there's any way at all,
for about 15 miles, continue straight.
Never have one of those vehicles. I will do it. I'm really getting freaking close to doing horse and buggy, which, and somebody might roll their eyes. No, really, that's kind of like where I come from. I can do that, not a problem. The only problem that I have is just like on a motorcycle, where I kind of refuse to ride motorcycles most places, is because people where I live are stupid. They don't know how to drive. They still have their cell phones up to their ear. They're still texting all the time. Like, they've got it up in their face. They're watching videos. It's ridiculous. So this guy was behind me, and we're on a back road coming from my house to the main highway, back road. And the back road is about, I bet that guy was on his phone too. He kept looking down. That it was about 75% shade. So the trees are still over it. It's 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to work, and it's shaded. I don't know if you'll be able to see, like right now we're going into shade. Can't really tell. You can see it out the back window. And it's just, but it was such a small, it's like almost like a one-lane road, just really skinny road. And the trees are actually kind of covering the road a bit in most of the places, about 75% of the places. So he had a newer Dodge pickup truck, not really new, but newer. And every time we would go into the dark, where it was shaded, his headlights would pop on. And then we would go into where it's the sunshine, and then his headlights would turn off. And at first, I'm not staring in the rearview mirror, so I don't exactly, like realize what's going on. And then I'm like, he's flashing his lights at me, but it's not like a flash, like there's something wrong. And so I'm trying to figure out what the hell is going on. And so paying a little bit more attention to him, that's what it was. The truck was sensing that he was going through a dark time. And so that the truck needed to put his headlights on. I just find this hilarious. And I think I do. My mom had a vehicle, fairly new Suburban. And I get in there to drive it the first day, and I about freaked the hell out because, one, any little mist on the windshield, and it automatically runs the windshield wipers. And when you're driving down the road and you're not expecting it, and all of a sudden the windshield wipers go across, it kind of freaks you out a little bit. When you go to park, say you're going to China Mart, I don't go there. I do shop there, but I don't go there. You go to a parking lot and you go up to park, and your seat freaking vibrates because you're now surrounded by cars, and the vehicle that you're driving in considers that too close to other vehicles, and it's letting you know, oh dear Lord, when you're driving and all of a sudden your butt starts vibrating, it freaks you out. Now, I'm sure people get used to it. I don't think that I could, no matter how much I absolutely adore a back massage, and Lord, let me tell you, I got a good one on Saturday. I can't even imagine the new vehicles that have like heated body massage. I'm gonna fall my butt asleep. Now, I don't, thank God, don't drive as much as I used to. I used to drive an hour 15 to get to college. And that was what you did. Driving was not, I lived in a little tiny town where you had to drive. You always had to get 30 minutes to China Mart, and that was before China Mart did delivery. But the problem is when so much is, and this is everything in life, when so much is done for you, when you are a crazy teenager, where misguided, not popular, and so you do whatever you need to be the popular person, whatever it is. When you're that person and you don't let the police officers, your parents don't let the police officers, they'll scare you a little bit straight, which is what they did in my day. We had the biggest, baddest state trooper, and Iowa state troopers they're known for being 17 foot tall and weigh 300 pounds, and they're gonna kick you. I mean, big scary dude, especially when you're in a freshman in high school and you're taking driver's ed, which should be required in every state. So Tennessee, catch up. It probably would solve a lot of this. You don't pass driver's ed, then you don't get to drive. They come in first day of school, or first day of driver's ed. A guy came in, and I wish I would remember. One of the other girls, or I might remember, but it was one of the girls, and she sat in the front row. And I mean, this dude got introduced. The driver's ed teacher introduced him and just said he's here to talk to us. Got introduced, and then what he did,
In about 10 miles, turn left onto Hampshire
walked
Pike.
up to that girl in the front of the classroom, and he said, "Do you have your driver's permit?" She said, "Yes." And he said, "Can I have it?" And so, we're all like, because this thing to us at 14 was gold. Like, we have now grown up. We have achieved. We are now one of the cool kids. Like, we earned that. I'm not giving that to people. And so she hands it to him, and he turns around and he walks behind the table that's up front, and he turns back around and he faces all of us, and he holds up this driver's permit, and he takes this, I shit you not, 8-inch long pair of scissors. That's how long the blades were. They were huge. And he holds this up and he goes, "Driving is a privilege, not a right. You get caught driving inappropriately, this is what's going to happen. You're getting it taken away." And all of us are like, "Oh dear God, what is..." Anyway, now I'm sure that's going to give somebody PTSD. And no, back then it just scared us straight. The police officer would pull you over and be like, "Hey, you're being shit-ass kids, knock it off or I'm gonna give you a ticket." And they would usually drive us home to our parents' house because they knew where everybody lived. And they'd be like, "Dude, they were out, drag racing, they were out burning tires, they were out whatever, rein it in, you did it, it's over, enjoyed it, come on, you're gonna, just don't be stupid," is kind of what we would get. Anyway, ended up at the end of the afternoon, because his job on day one was to tell us about all of the slides that the state troopers have on horrific car accidents and what happened that led them up. And I mean motorcycles buried in truck cars, so that he had to point them out with this little laser pointer. What happens to cars versus trains. I will never, ever, ever forget. He said a train versus a car is the same as your regular car versus a watermelon. He goes, you go run over a watermelon, you see it squish. He goes, that's what's going to happen to you when you get hit by a train. It's do not race the trains. Do not park on the train tracks. Don't do any of that, because your butt's going to get run over and I'm going to have to come clean up the guts. And that was just, it didn't, obviously you can tell it didn't make soft children. How many Gen Xers are like, "Oh, I can't do it. I can't go to work today because I need a mental health feelings day." Seriously? What you're doing by taking your mental health feelings day on a day when your butt needs to be at work is you're now making, unless you take it off ahead of time, you're now making everybody else have more mental anguish, because you're making them load up on the work that you couldn't be required to come in and do. People don't understand that, and I think part of it is they don't care. They'll be the first ones to crab ass when somebody calls in sick, and then they're like, "Well, why are we Kroger, for example, why are we working so hard? There's only 3 lines open and there should be 6 lines open, and what are we doing, and how come we have to work harder, and it's such a stressful day, and you know, customers are a little more short-tempered. Well, they're short-tempered a little bit more. Not that that gives you an excuse to yell at customers, because it did not. We're having a problem too. There's less lanes open because Sally didn't show up for her work because she needed a day to rest in the middle of a work week when we only schedule work 1 week in advance. Okay. And what you're doing is you're taking the mental load that you couldn't be bothered to deal with today, and you're putting it on the other 4 people who actually freaking showed up. And that was very, very apparent during the COVIDs, because the few of us, let me think. I don't think I worked then, so I worked out of the house then, so I'm not going to add myself into that. Those who showed up during the day are the ones that got yelled at the most. Why isn't there more people to serve you? Why don't you have more lanes open? Why aren't you moving faster? And in all reality, you should be thanking those who showed up. Not sure if I said it before, but that year, one of the cool things that year was that there was, yeah, I did that on purpose. One of the cool things that year is that the local drive-in theaters had concerts. So we actually got to go see a Toby Mac concert at our local drive-in theater because, you know, they weren't allowing concerts and stuff to happen. They didn't want everybody gathered in such a closed space. And so what they were doing is they were having concerts outside at movie theaters. And I mean, that was awesome. We went and saw Toby Mac that year, and either later that year or the next year, we ended up going to see Skillet. There was somebody else we got to see, because we went to 3 of them, I think. But, I mean, there was other people there too, but I think we went to 3 different ones. It was really cool, and I'm very glad that we got to do things like that. And it was $20 a person, I think, which really helped because we had a family of, we were just 6 at that time. So we're on our way to the Toby Mac concert. We happen to be in my city, and we stopped at Wendy's to grab biggie bags to take with us. And there was, we know that our family takes a long time to get our food because there is 6 of us. And there was a little bit of a line. We were there a few minutes early. You know, we made sure to get there early. But we, you know, we're prepared to wait a bit. Well, it had been a little bit. And so, that we had pulled forward, you know, ordered and then pulled forward. So I go in and I kind of stand inside looking for my order. And I was in there a couple minutes, and then one of the girls actually ended up kind of passing me and walking out with the order. And we were talking to some of the other people there, and one of the people, first of all, they were just super, super, super short-staffed because nobody wanted to come to work. Second of all, we were talking to the adults that were there, and one of the adults was a mother who was talking to us about her daughter that had worked there, and I think she was there that day. And she was telling us that the week prior, the daughter had been working the window to do the drive-thru, and this person got their food, and for some reason something on it must have been incorrect, and this person then decided that and it was a teenage girl, like she's like 16, 17. This person then decided that what they should do is throw the food back through the drive-in window at this young lady. And that mother said that girl wanted to quit then and there. She's like, I'm done. Which, hello, somebody's throwing food at you for something that you probably had nothing to do with. It probably didn't have anything to do with you. I mean, the person who's the drive-in window is not the person who is they're sending out the food. They're not making the food. They're not assembling the food. They get the drinks and they get things out the door. This girl then did not quit. Her mother convinced her that sometimes, and you have to do that to your kids too. You're like, sometimes people suck. Tangent. I'm behind a dump truck right now, and it has a sign that says not responsible for road objects. You're gonna tell me that you're not responsible if you drop shit on the road? You are in the great state of Illinois, in the shitty town of Chicago, because I had a friend he was a friend in high school. I went to college in Chicago, and he had some pop cans in the back of his truck, and as he went around a corner, and I think one or two flew out, and he got fined for both of them for littering, I believe is the fine that he got. So I'm not sure how they can just put a little sign back there. Maybe it'll deter people and make them kind of stay back further. I'm not sure. I don't follow people close anyway, because again, big truck. I understand braking distances. My parents, and then these idiots. I wish you could see them. It's not how that works. It's not how that works. My parents own a houseboat, and little jet skis will just like zoop right in front of you, and then they have no clue that there's no way on God's green earth, no way on God's green earth that my parents can just stop that boat. If you fall off of that jet ski, or if he's on his phone. If you're on the back, like a tube on the back of somebody's boat, and they go around and you get dumped in front of the boat, you're going to get hit. You're not going to have time to get out of the way. We can't stop. It's like a semi-truck. There's like 100 feet in front of a semi-truck that you should never be. Because why? Because they have to take that in order to stop. Yeah, get off. No, he's still texting. Still texting. Yeah, it's great. It's great. I don't get it. That is one thing that I don't understand. Why are people physically hands-on texting while they're driving? I use Siri, and I call home sometimes when I'm driving. Anyway, so it was the humans that showed up. No, I don't mean that the heroes that were teachers or the heroes that were the nurses or whatever. Yeah, they had some long shit ass days, but a lot of that was propagated by their government, and I hope that they didn't take the stabby stab, because that is causing so many problems right now that it's not even funny. We need to thank somebody today. Find somebody today that just showed up, and thank them for showing up. I heard a story. I'm not sure if John was telling the story the other day or somebody was telling the story, and they had said that there was a guy, and he was going to go kill himself. And
At the next light, turn left.
he says to himself, if somebody stops me today and says hi, gives me a reason to live, then I will live. That guy ended up getting, I think he said this
At the light, turn left onto Hampshire Pike.
He got somebody to stop and just say hi to him. I mean, I don't think it was a, oh my gosh, you're the best person in the world. I think it was a, hey, hi, how are you? I shall not make that light. A lot of times, that's all people need. They just need to be acknowledged. Get slightly political, and only in the sense that we're going to talk about a political event. I saw an interview with the classmate of the shooter from this past weekend, and the classmate says, oh yeah, he was kind of a loner, and he got bullied all the time. And all I want to do is say, did you freaking say hi to him? When you saw him being bullied, did you say anything? next to the Popo. No. So in turn, that kid doing the interview is part of the problem. If you see somebody's having a hard time, freaking say something to them. Maybe their home life is shit. Their home life is probably shit. A lot of people's home lives is shit. There's a police officer with his lights on coming from...
In about 1 mile, turn right onto Williamsport Pike.
Before it came, just all kinds of morning drama. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and get back to my regularly scheduled program of a lot of music before I get to work, because it's been 20 minutes and I've got another hour and a half to go. But that is your challenge for today, this week. Part of the Live Hard program. One of the, I'll probably never end up doing the other 3 phases, because one, there are many, many days I don't leave the house. And so doing the one challenge that says you have to go out and strike up a conversation with 3 strangers, I do that on a daily, like I do that all the time. Like that is not foreign to me. That's not a skill that I need to build. I will, Scully, ask me about the Scully story sometime. If it doesn't come out, I'll just say it. Because I wanted to meet him. So how do you go introduce yourself to somebody that you've never met? You've only seen on TV, on YouTube. People probably think you're nuts when they come up and they're like, "Hey," and he's like, "I don't know you." And people look at me and they know I'm nuts anyway. So Scully was walking through SRF, and they talk about high points all the time. I'd never heard of a high point before that. I'm not into obscure. I'm gonna say obscure because I've never heard of it. So they also collectively bash the Glock.
Go past this light, then turn right onto Williamsport Pike.
They do it to be fun. So I walked up to him and I said, "Hey, Scully," and he's like, "Yeah," and he turns around and I said, "Thank you so much." And he kind of looks at me funny. I said,
"Turn right."
For recommendation, I went out and bought a Glock. And he just looked at me like, God, I hope this lady didn't.
For about 26 miles, continue straight.
I own a SIG. I just wanted to meet you. And he was like, "Oh, okay." And he's like, "I think you got the better gun." And he just started laughing. But I don't need that skill. I don't care that I'm crazy, and I don't care if you like it or not. Somebody many, many years ago kind of branded me with the quote, well, they told me I've got moxie, and I love it. But I'd rather be hated for who I am than loved for who I'm not. And I kind of added that to somebody's Facebook post. I don't remember what it was, probably talking about 75 Hard or something. And I've added that to their post, and there was so many people that were laughing about it, and I was like, tell me why. I'm guessing it's because they think that people can't actually believe that. I fully believe that. I am who I am. There's nobody else in the world that can be me. Thank God. Because can you imagine 2 Angies running around? That would kind of be crazy. I've been asked before if I wouldn't volunteer to be duplicated, and I was like, yeah, you think you want that, but have you seen the movie Multiplicity? It doesn't end well. And I can't even imagine my crazy on crazy, because that would be weird. Yeah. So no, it's one of those, I tell my kids, tuck a crazy in and stick it out, keep it at home. We're going out in public. And people don't teach people that anymore. Like, people don't teach their kids, hey, when you're at school, you are allowed to X, Y, and Z, and you are not allowed to A, B, C. But at home, you can run around in your underwear because nobody cares. But you can't do that at school. And there's no differentiating between the two. And so now children are all about well, why can't I do that everywhere? You can't tell me I can't. Well, you know what? Actually, I can. There are rules. And just sometimes you gotta deal with it. Can you go to school and not have any clothes on? Probably, but you're going to get your butt sent home and then your mama's coming down. So don't do that. Am I saying follow every rule? Hell no. Have you met me? That's not my MO. There are lots of rules that don't make any bit of sense. Driving without your phone in your face, that makes sense. That's a sensible law. To me, I'm sure everybody else disagrees with me. Wearing the seatbelts shouldn't be a law. Nope. I will fight you on that one all day long. It should not be a law. As long as, let me clarify. As long as if you don't wear a seatbelt and you get died, that is your problem. The problem started when Joe decided not to wear his seatbelt. He got killed in a car accident, and so they sued Sarah, who is the one that caused the accident, for bazillions of dollars. An insurance company says, yeah, we can't afford this. So we're going to tell the government that they need to put a law. That dude just ran off the road because he was on his phone. It tells the government that we need a law to require seatbelts. Now, do I think you should wear one? Yes. Do I think that they save lives? Yes. More lives than they not? Yes. Do I think the government should dictate that? No. No, I don't. And they're not even doing it the right reasons. The government's not doing it because it saves lives. The government's doing it because the insurance companies told them to. It's nuts. It's insane. Go say hi to somebody. Go introduce yourself. Go strike a cup of conversation. Hell, you could have full on. We had a conversation with our new septic dude for like 3 hours last night. Strike up a conversation. Make somebody's day. You can only be a positive or a negative in this life. And every single minute, you go back and forth. You can be awesome to this person and a jerk ass to that person. You can add to this person's life, and you can turn around and take away from that person's life. Be an addition to people's lives. Help make people's lives better. I'm not saying you got to go over there and hold their hand every 5 seconds, or do it in a way that you like to do things. If you can bake a casserole once a week to give to a family who needs it, do that. If you can pack bags for the people who have nothing standing on the street, do that. We have a place in our town called Hopetown. That team is amazing. And they give people what they need. If you walk in there and you say, I have no food, they will feed you. I have no shampoo, they will send you home with a whole entire new bathroom and toiletry bag full of stuff. I have no clothes, they have clothes. I've been over and helped sort clothes before. We helped do all kinds of stuff, and we actually got stuff when we first had foster kids. We didn't quite have time when we got them to just be like, okay, I'm going to go out and shop. And we didn't have a lot of extra money in the beginning. When they come to us, we don't know if they need 3 things, which the girls, when they came from a foster home, they didn't really need anything. Although I personally didn't have high chairs for twins. I didn't have any high chairs, but I sure as heck didn't have 2 of them. I didn't have walkers. We didn't have toddler beds. And weirdly enough, by the grace of God, they had what we needed. And then when we were done with it, we didn't have children in high chairs anymore after they left. Well, Zaina, she was in a high chair. We put her in we bought a big high chair at that point in time. But these were like little booster seats. Gave them back to them so that they could give them to somebody else. Be a blessing. Don't suck from this world. Give to this world. Find somebody that you don't know. Ask them how the hell they're doing. Just say thank you. 99% of the time, you get a thank you, and that's gonna make or break something. That is gonna take your crappy interaction that you just had because the person at Kroger is stressed and they're running around answering 6 questions for 7 different people, and then they've got their boss yelling at them that they're not scanning enough material, and okay, you want me to help the customer right now, or you want me to be scanning stuff on your computer so that your computer tells me that, or your computer tells you that I'm doing something? And just a super, super thank you is a lot of times all it